Hello, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Yeah, it's been a while, man. I've uploaded a few videos on the YouTube recently. Not really what I had in mind. I just kind of uploaded the ones that I thought were the most impactful. I just came back from a 7-day trip to Germany and Austria. I'm still recovering from it. I'm still recovering from it. I'm still recovering from the feeling of unconsciousness. I remember distinctly when I think it was when I got off the plane, but I'm not too sure. When I got to Austria, at some moment, I became unconscious where the thought impressions took over my mind. There was just so many. I think initially it was excitement. There was a lot of excitement being in this place, and I was already making plans as to, I would love to live here. I'd love to live in Vienna and live in Austria. I felt really at home in Vienna, funnily enough. I felt very natural. It felt like I'd always kind of been there. I do believe that in a past life I was a German. I don't know if I believe in past lives entirely, but wow, my naturalness when it comes to the German language, I should be able to even say that, to be honest. My naturalness in the German language is uncanny. I do have a strong interest in the German language, in the Deutsche Sprache. Und ich kann mit einfacher benutzen, die deutsche Sprachen. But yeah, my German's still very elementary, still very beginner. Anfänger. Ich bin eine Anfänger in der deutschen Sprache, so I'm still learning. But yeah, the biggest impression I got from the journey, initially, let's go back to the first thought impression that I was talking about. Getting there felt very natural. I felt very much like I belonged there. I was making all these plans. I say I, the ego, the mind, was making all these plans as to, I would love to stay here, learn the German language. And I was getting all these plans and these ideas as I was going into Vienna, walking into the city centre. I remember seeing the Universität Sprache, the university speaking, or the speaking course, speaking center or whatever. And I was thinking about maybe enrolling in a German course in Austria. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's something that I'd like to do. But in speaking of such things, the energy there was so heavy. I didn't realize how much of an effect it was having on me, where I could feel it in my heart, I could feel it in my mind. It was pulling me into this state of unconsciousness. And I started listening to music, which I used to listen to years ago, which I shouldn't really be listening to that kind of music. Because the music itself has a very strong negative component and energy to it, a bit like Rammstein. Rammstein is a very heavy, negative emotion music. I'm not saying it's bad, necessarily. I'm not saying it's evil. I'm just saying it has a negative energy to it. And when I listen to Rammstein, my soul gets pulled down into negativity a lot. And those, of course, when I've aligned myself with the negative energy, or when you align yourself to negative energy likes to latch onto more, and it then slowly it circulates. You start now thinking more negative thoughts. You start thinking and feeling more negative. You start even acting negative and start thinking negatively about others, and you start creating a negative world, is what I found. And my heart was very heavy. Like, I think that's the best way for me to describe it. I felt very heavy there. I felt heavy there, and I felt heavy the entire trip. And even when it came time to do prayers and meditations, I still felt the heaviness in the prayer and the meditation. There were a few moments of stillness and awareness where, when I opened a book, when I either read the Bible or I opened a Roy Master's book, who was another spiritual teacher, and I felt a element of relief. I felt a release from the burden of the negativeness and the heaviness that was circulating my being. It was an energetic thing, man. And I'm not going to tell you, or I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you how grateful I was when I got back to England. Because in England itself, the energy was not that heavy. The energy was not as heavy as Germany and Austria. The last place I came from was Salzburg. Austria still isn't as bad as Germany. Germany has You don't realize it until you get there. You don't realize it how heavy the energy actually is in Germany. Now maybe that's just me. I'll be open and honest with you. I'm a sensitive person. I'm sensitive to energy, so I could feel that stuff. I could feel the energy when I was in Germany being very, very strong and very heavy. And even now when I'm talking about it, I'm still, my mind, and I got sick again. I never get sick again. I never get sick twice in a year. This is ridiculous. I only got sick twice this year so far now. Well, I've been sick before, obviously, as I've kind of gotten involved in worldly affairs, and as I've taken in a job and I start thinking egoically and I start becoming egoically ambitious, then I get more sick, because it's an unnatural state of being. It's not a natural place to be. This egoism, because it's born out of suffering, it's born out of desire, it's born out of pain, it's born out of frustration. It's not born out of peace. It's born out of a desire to join the pain and become better than the pain. And it's very egoic. And again, relating that strand of thought to why the Nazis were successful in Germany. That's kind of one of the reasons why I went to Germany itself. I went to Braunau am Inn, which is the town of Hitler's birthplace. And when I was in Vienna, I also did a historical tour of the Third Reich, and I also did a historical tour of the Third Reich in Munich as well. That was actually quite an interesting one. The Vienna one was an introductory tour to the Third Reich, but the Munich one was a lot more in depth. The man, I forgot his name, but I'll find it. I'll find his name because I want to actually get his book. Maybe I might buy his book. He goes a lot deeper into the Third Reich and the little intricacies. He told me a new thing which I never knew. When Hitler was working for the DAP, the Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, before it was called the NSDAP, it was called the DAP. He, at one meeting, he was quiet. This was when he was first enrolled as a spy for the, I think it was the Abwehr or the military police, the Reichswehr maybe, not too sure. But he was enrolled by the intelligence office of the army. So he's here at a meeting, and a school teacher whose name I've forgotten in the DAP, he says that given the situation in the 1920s Germany, that Bavaria should secede. Bavaria should become its own country. We should have our independence and we should break from the rest of Germany. And upon hearing this, Hitler stood up and he goes into a rage. He starts shouting at this man and he starts berating him and he starts humiliating him in front of everyone. And upon hearing this, apparently, based on the tour, the school teacher ran out of the room in fear. He ran out of the room. And I was like, gives you an impression as to what the young Hitler was like, because I believe he was a very hateful man. I genuinely believe that he was a very, very impassionately hateful man whose hatred probably went deeper than what a lot of people's hatred has experienced. And it's interesting because he apparently was an INFJ, so that makes even more sense, because he was then a sensitive soul, an incredibly sensitive soul, probably very rational as well, actually, a rational, sensitive individual who witnessed madness his entire life, right? He witnessed an abusive father, he witnessed a doting mother, he lost his mother quite young, he was very idealistic, a dreamer, very sensitive. I mean, he was an artist. Who else are artists, right? A very passionate speaker. He was always very passionate, right? Like INFJs. INFJs are very passionate people. We feel a lot about things, and they're the opposite of cold, right? Cold people are very, they can kind of take it or leave it. They kind of see things as they are. INFJs, no, man, if there's a cause, whoosh, we've got to go after the cause, man. We feel it. It's in the soul. It's in the being. It's in the very nature of an INFJ to feel the fire of the thing that he's speaking about. And he did. He felt that way for sure about Germany. He was very passionate about Germany. But he also had an impassionate hate as well, which went towards the enemies of Germany. And I'm sidetracking a little bit from my original point that I wanted to make. But I guess I have to speak about it because I did go to Germany just now and went on a little Third Reich tour, let's put it that way. Yeah, I learned lots of things. I learned lots about energy. I learned a lot about the energy, about the fact that it's your energy, man. Your energy is so important. Cultivating your energy and not allowing it to fall into an unconscious egoic state is so important. Germany itself had fallen into an unconscious state in World War II to the point where it was mad. It was mad. I even went to Dachau. Dachau showed me again how an intelligent, efficient, organized, industrious, disciplined, organized people perpetrated acts of hatred and murder with this intelligence. It doesn't make sense on the surface because it doesn't. It's mad. It's actual madness. It's actual madness, right? Madness is insanity. It doesn't make sense. Of course, to an insane person, they make sense. But when you look at it from the outer perspective, you're like, what? It doesn't make sense. All that discipline, all that organization, all that efficiency, all that knowledge, all that science, and then it's channeled into this. It's channeled into this craziness, this crazy enterprise, this crazy project. That doesn't make sense. But on that point, I'll conclude because I've been speaking for 11 minutes and I don't want to bore you too longer. The big thing I learned was the feeling of lightness should guide you, not the feeling of heaviness. If you're making decisions in your life with a frantic sense of urgency, that's not the right energy to propel you to making the right choices. The right choices will come from a lightness. The right choices will come from a place where there is hope, joy, and freedom involved. A bit like what Christ speaks about, how he says that I am the way, the truth, and the life, and the light. Through me you will find the Father, or only through me you will find the Father, or only through me you will find the kingdom of heaven. When you're planning your life or when you're planning the future, don't do it from a frantic place, from a place where you're frantically urgent and I've got to achieve this and I've got to do that. That is not the right energy that's going to help you in your life. That's egoic energy. And egoic energy is rushed, pressureful, urgent, painful, mechanical, destructive. It's destructive energy. It causes hate, friction. And the only reason we succumb to that energy, I think, is because when we are at the mercy of the energies of other people, when we ourselves are in an unconscious state, because that's the only way they will affect us, because they didn't affect Christ, and even though he was physically killed, they never could kill his spirit. I love Christ as the example of all this, to be honest. Even though I'm a Muslim and I follow the Prophet Muhammad, I love the Prophet Muhammad, and I also love Jesus as well. I think Jesus is a different kind of an example of salvation. He offers a different example for humanity to follow. A deeper example, I think, that's less perceptible. It takes a little bit more observation from the human mind to see what Christ was really all about and what he really preached. But yeah, when it comes to the idea of you choosing your path in life, the energy is so important about what you feel, the energy as to where it is that you are, the energy. I'm not going to kill you with words, really. It's the energy, which speaks much louder than words. And the feeling of lightness, I think, is key. The feeling of lightness and being present, being acutely present. Don't falling below thought. Don't fall below thought. Stay above thought. But yeah, as I recover from my trip, I will make more videos about any insights that I did have, and hopefully they'll entertain you to some degree and help guide you in your life, really. That's why I make these videos, is to be of help and service to you guys. So, the point of these videos is, at the end of the day, you watch them. Do you feel better? Do you feel more guided? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel more relieved? And do you feel like you are going to go forward and make better choices? I mean, I don't pretend to be nobody. All I'm doing is just offering the insights that I have, and I'm talking about them. And if they help you, then that's great, man. I've done my job. I can die a happy man if I've helped you in any way. All right, so please, peace be with you. Stay blessed, and I will hopefully make some more videos. in the coming days.